Spirits Got You Down? California intuitive Dana Grant meets Southern psychic Allie Devine as they discuss and lead you through all things divine. Let them be your guides in Spirit Unlimited.
Okay, all you Spirit Unlimited fans, we are so excited to be back. We missed last week. We had a family, Allie's family. We had a family emergency. And Allie, it's so
Yeah.
good to see you today.
You
Happy
too. It seems
what
like
is
it's
it?
been
Wednesday,
forever.
Thursday? Like
Friday. Thursday. It's Thursday. Yeah. I'm telling you, if you would just kind of, we could, I don't know, have our own sitcom, I think, with your life, my life combined,
you know,
and family.
well, I think that not only do we have to laugh through it, but we
Oh,
have
yeah.
to roll and trust that every
Yes.
single thing that happens in our life is happening for a reason. And that's what we're
I
talking about
agree.
today. We're
Yes.
we're
And,
we're gonna yeah.
you couldn't have picked a better, more on point subject. Um, and I think you and I are becoming queens of accepting it
Yeah.
because we have to do it so much,
Well, there's so
you know,
much flow
and
and
not
and I think,
push.
yeah. Well, I think we can see so much down the future that we
Hmm.
also know with free will and trust, we have to stay
Right.
very present in the moment, which
Oh
means
gosh,
coping with what's going on. And there's no spiritual
that's right.
bypassing ever for us. It's
No,
it would be
no,
the
and
biggest loop ever. It would be like Groundhog's
it,
Day, 24 days.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
24
if you
hours a
think
day.
about it, I know you don't, I know I don't. Who has time to second guess? You know,
Mm,
I mean, you are so busy back to back, and making sure this is done and that is done, in every direction. Because people
right.
have to remember that, you know, there's so
Yeah.
many sides to Dana Grant. You know, life coach, mother. All these amazing things, friends. Everything. And
Yeah.
really, now, Dana, let me ask you a question. How on earth would you fit in your calendar if you didn't
Mm,
have faith? Okay, and you had to
mm.
second guess everything.
Well, it's interesting you say that because I pulled up some scripture today because,
Ah,
a lot of people say, how can you believe in what you do and you can't believe in God and be connected to? And I'm like, contraire. Where
mhm.
did you
I
get
don't
that
think so.
information?
You
Yeah, I don't think so.
Exactly.
Yeah, Allie floats with the angels and is connected to source, but it was Proverbs 6:2 that states, committed your work to the Lord and your plans will be established. If you try to follow and it says the Lord, but now you're second guessing yourself because the results are not what you hoped for,
Yeah,
um, remind yourself that the journey isn't over. Is that
that's
not what
right.
I mean, we preach
Yeah.
this shizzle every day. It's like it ain't
I like
over
that correction.
until
That's right. Because I
yeah,
was gonna say,
yeah,
when did you see a close sign? You know what I'm saying? Because
yeah.
there's no close sign.
Yeah,
You know,
no.
this life is
We
still
we we
open.
are yeah, we are open like neon flashing
Right.
signs for business all the time, which means spirit is always speaking. And what we
Yes.
must do and what we're teaching people to do today is we're going to talk about slowing down, trusting the
Oh, I love
process.
that.
What does that feel like? What does that look like? How is that showing up in your lives? And what signs are you ignoring that are
Yeah.
rerouting you? Because
I
free
mean,
will
it's
will make us push hard, and you know this. We want what we want.
and I agree. And I've been saying here lately this week with sessions, I sit there and think, I wonder if the Lord's up there sometimes not shaking his head thinking, why did I give these people free will? Just why? You know what I'm saying? Uh, because we can goof things up, but
Yeah.
we always end up, like you're saying, on the right path and the right end. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Um,
by saying that, Allie, what you just said it. Free will means that we're
mm,
going to be sometimes in an area where we're not getting the results we want, but it isn't a mistake. It is a
right,
redirection. We recorrect like this.
right.
Oops, you know
Yes.
what? That's not the results I wanted. So, but that led me to something else. And you know what? God can open doors an expansion bigger. And we know this because of where
Mhm.
we're connected to. And
That's
we can't
right.
possibly explain sometimes what that feels like, that expansion, that vastness, and that knowledge that we're just tapping into this much of it. but
I
it can
know.
redirect and we get answers like, ooh, that's better than I could have ever thought of. Don't give me the credit. Don't ever give me
Exactly.
the
Yeah.
credit.
And
It's
we
coming
say
from
that all the
source.
time.
It's coming from
That's
source.
right. We
Yeah.
say that all the time. It's like, don't think us above, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Give
You've always
give that
said that.
credit where
You've
credit
always
is
said that.
due.
Well, you've always said you're angels. You're always saying,
Mhm.
you're, yeah, God is a huge part of what we do. God is a huge part of
I
why we
couldn't do
trust
it.
what we
Yeah.
could. I was just going to say why we trust this, well, and
Yes.
why, we're so connected to the spiritual realm. And
Right.
we're just setting the record straight today. I'm
Yeah.
just drawing the
Because
line in the sand. Yeah,
I'm
I mean,
glad. I'm glad
yeah,
because so many people question that about us. You
yeah.
know,
Oh, and most recently,
how
Allie,
can you
yeah, yeah,
how can you do this? How can you be let's say a Christian or how can you believe in
right.
God? I'm like, well, how can you judge me? You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. I
and
mean, is
they
it
don't
our
know my
fault that,
thing.
that sometimes people show up and, things are flat on my office and there's
Not
people
my
standing
fault.
behind you in blue
Exactly.
suits and I'm like, hey,
Right.
we
Yes.
can't help what we see and what we call in. And the fact is
No.
our accuracy, and this is where trusting the signs and trusting the process, the
Mm,
accuracy is there, the details are there in what we discuss. And if we look at it, let's just say the naysayers, we never cross a line and address that. But today, let's go
no.
there.
Let's do
It's been one
it.
of those,
I
let's go there.
love doing that.
Let's spill some tea. So I got a phone call this week.
Uh-oh.
Let's talk about
Spill it.
this. I got a phone call this week that said, I heard from someone from the church that knows someone else that
Mm.
said that, you're dealing with voodoo and crystals and the
Oh my
dark
word.
side. And I'm like, the dark side? Well, I mean, that even scares me. I look at the dark side
Yeah.
as the shadow self, where we dwell if we're uncertain. But certainly I've never connected to the dark side. And
No.
it didn't even offend me, but the misguidance and the lack of awareness
It's
that
sad.
it's sad. It made me sad. It didn't make me angry. And I thought, and I didn't say how ignorant. I just maybe
I
naivety,
will.
but how sad? Well,
Yeah.
maybe I did a skosh.
I
Maybe
was
I
like, come
thought
on now, Dana. Fess up. I know you better than that, Puddin'.
Yeah, well, I think that there isn't anything that we could discuss that we couldn't back up biblically, that we couldn't give
Oh
scripture,
gosh,
that we could not give
I
scripture on,
agree.
just like trusting the process. We're not
That's right.
pulling new age, fluff out of our hat. But you know what? I
No.
trust this so emphatically,
Yes.
and I've never questioned the information that comes
No.
through, nor
No.
will I ever, because I
No,
know
because
source. Yeah.
that's not in our makeup. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And the thing is, the more you trust and really truly let it go and let God, that's
Yeah.
I mean, why fight it? It coasts down that hill. Don't pedal.
Well, Wi-Fi,
You
well,
know?
number one, neutrality is a low vibrational energy. But if we look at
Yeah.
trust and hope and love
And
and faith
yeah, and that
and
knowing, yeah.
connection, and we know heaven loves speed. We know this is a universal
Oh my
law
gosh.
and it
Yes.
loves us to make decisions, which
Yes.
means we make the decision. We're like, oh, not the decision I needed to make. But guess what? It opened another door. I wouldn't have opened
Yeah.
that door and got to where I was going if I didn't do that. So this is where there are no mistakes,
No, there isn't.
no
And I'm
delays.
so glad you said that. And I
Yeah.
get so tired of hearing people say, "Oh, I wasted so much time there." I'm like, "No, you
Yeah.
didn't.
The coulda, shoulda,
No,
wouldas.
you
Yeah.
learned. You learned something from there. You may not see it right now,
Yeah.
but you will later.
Yeah.
Because everything has a meaning, everything has a purpose.
Yeah, there's no
Um,
wasted time, but wasted time, would you not
no.
say is connected to grief? It's grief.
Yes.
I want that time
Yes.
back. No, you were
Mhm.
meant to sit there. You were
Right.
meant. Sometimes I say
That's
we're in the
right.
desert for a long time. We're meant,
Yeah.
but when we find our way, it's like it's so much sweeter.
Oh my
It's
gosh,
so much
and
more
so much less
rewarding.
worry. Yeah, and so
Yeah.
much less worry and stress of, "Is this gonna work out or is that gonna work? Should I do the left or right?" Whatever. No,
Yeah.
I just say, "All right, Lord, what do I gotta do?"
Yeah.
And then I don't keep saying, "Okay, what is it? What is" no, because
And you don't
everything has
stop
to
and
be
say, "Are you
answered.
sure? Are you
Yeah,
sure?
no.
Hello, are you
Heavens
sure?"
no. Yeah. It's like, come on now. I mean, no, it's uncalled for. You know what I mean?
Oh, but do you remember
That's
that book when
the
we grew
problem.
up? Well, I'm older than you, Allie, but the
Mhm.
book, I don't know if you read much of Judy Blume.
I
Let's say,
love Judy Blume.
hello, God, are you there? It's me,
It's
Margaret.
it's
Is
me,
that what
Margaret.
it is?
Yes.
Yeah, it's me, Margaret.
Yes.
Hello. I mean, I loved
Yeah.
that book as a kid so much.
Mhm.
Remember,
Oh my gosh, girl. I
we must increase our
read
bus.
that. Plus, yeah. It didn't work. No, it worked too
Well,
much, you know.
actually won't, I won't read. Yeah, it worked way too much. I think I did that a lot.
I know, right?
But you know what?
Oh, but yeah, I read it
I
so
won't
many
watch the
times
movie. I
fast.
love the book so much. Yeah, I won't read because I've got
Same,
such a visual
same
image of the
here.
70s and that
Yes.
vibe and
Yeah.
that
And
energy.
it was such a good time, you know. And I don't know, to me, it was just peace, tranquil, innocence, you know,
Yeah, innocence.
innocence.
Let's talk about that. Do you think that we or people tap into the experiences they had that were joyful and happy that they carry into their decision making today, just as if they couldn't trust growing up and there was lots of trauma and generational
Oh,
trauma that they don't trust today? Do you think the
right.
opposite can be the case, that they
Oh,
can
most
over
definitely.
trust?
Yeah, I do, you know. Um, and that's with, now, I'll add this. This is just my 2 cents, but as always, correct me if I'm wrong. You know, when you say over trust, you have to make sure, that your source, if you will, is right. That it's God that you're
Yeah.
receiving that
And
from,
your
and you have
source
to know
is,
that, and
yeah,
not a
is,
human.
yeah,
You see what I mean? Because
yeah,
that's where I don't always put trust, but I give people the benefit of the doubt,
right.
sort of.
But
You
you
see what I mean?
trust, number one, you trust you.
Mhm.
Your
And I
source
trust God. That's right.
comes to
To
you,
correct
God,
me.
you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
And
If
then
I'm
you get to,
misled by a
yeah.
person, yeah, then I trust him to say, watch that fool. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And then I will.
Let's slow down around
Yeah.
that, because this is huge about what we're talking about today, the second guessing. And when something doesn't feel right, and we know that
Mhm.
in us, our intuition is very well developed. And something comes along and
Mhm.
we're like, doesn't feel right, but we second guess it continually. What would you tell the people that are constantly second guessing? And this comes from old wounds, the
Mhm.
core wound, the
It
core fear,
does.
trauma they're rubbing up against.
Yeah.
What advice
Yeah.
can you give them today, Allie, to
Gosh.
give them the clarity that we have when it comes to trusting? That doesn't mean we don't make mistakes. That
No,
means
because we
that we're
do.
just redirected and re-guided very
Right.
swiftly, and we
Right.
don't shame
And
ourselves for any of it. We're like,
no.
yep, well, it
And
happens. Let's
and
go.
yeah.
Andale.
And that's why we have that good buddy system. We have
Yeah.
friendships like this.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I will be like, oh, no, just stop. And I always have to say, practice what you preach. You know what I mean? And to remind myself to trust, his
Mm.
process. Okay. And distraction. I know it sounds so silly and so simple, but it helps, at least me. Okay.
Mhm.
If I never sit and stew and worry. Okay. Um,
Ditto.
I
I
get
am
up,
not a worrier.
get moving, and distract myself to where I can receive. Okay. Because
The
think about
messages,
that's
messages.
right. Because who is going to be able to get a message or to receive that when their mind is boggled full of worry?
Well, you're
It's who.
blocked. You're number
Yes,
one, you're
that's what I was going to say.
blocked.
And I'm sorry, I'm
Yeah.
very slow today. It's like, huh? But,
You are not slow,
but
but this is
yes.
what I love about you. You'll tell me when I ask a question, you're like, I'm gonna go feed the ducks and I'll get back to you. And I'm
Hmm.
gonna go,
Yeah.
and what you're doing is a lot of chores, and then you come back with a lot of clarity. I had
Mhm.
something that was said to me in my youth, and it was said in repetition. It's probably the best advice my mom ever gave me. And it really landed like front and center. And I've utilized it. And I always say generational trauma works two ways. There's good and
It
it's
does. That's
mixed,
right.
because this was a gift.
Hmm.
She would say, worry is the inability to solve a problem. And
Mm.
worry is the inability to solve a problem. So whenever someone would say, "Are you worried?" I'd say, "No, I'm in the middle of the problem. I'm solving a
I'm like,
problem."
yeah,
Everything is
right,
problem solving. And if we can't solve the problem, why would I give it over to worry? Here, let me give it over to worry and an external validation. Or
mhm,
no, I'm going to, like you said, get busy doing something and it
that's
works
right.
itself out one way or another.
Yes,
We're going to
yes,
get an answer. We
that's
won't
right.
stay in neutrality,
Mhm.
but worry will keep you in neutrality
Oh,
and
it
it will
will. It'll keep you
yeah,
stuck.
it will, yeah, low vibration. I was just going to say, you keep
Mhm.
dropping into
That's
the
right.
quicksand. I call it the
You do, and you
quicksand
can't
of
get out.
worry. Yeah. No,
That's right.
it's very
And I've
difficult.
heard horrible stories of people,
Mm,
in great despair, depression, because of that worry. And of course, the first thing that pops in, my head, you know, do they have faith? I mean, because
mm.
obviously they don't, you
Well,
know,
hey, well, what
or
happens when people
they do
lose faith though?
you know,
What happens if they do?
I think that's when they need to
They're
reconnect.
And how would they do that, Allie? Let's give some tools today
Gosh,
on how to reconnect to
yeah.
faith.
Well, I think a lot of times people have to. I believe that God has, He's got people like us down here,
Right.
okay, to deliver those messages in a different format. I'm not
Right.
saying I'm a preacher man or preacher woman, whatever, and you're not either, but we can deliver that divine spiritual faith message to
Yeah.
let others know that this isn't it. There's so much more, and because I mean, think about this 1 second, and I go over. But when we're doing a session with someone, everybody, for the most part, they get that chill. They get, and I've had so many people that when they get up from sitting across from me and they leave, they're like, I feel so much lighter. Okay.
Listen to
And
the
I'm like,
dog. Look at the energy of the dog raising since we've been talking about this. I can hear the
yeah,
panting of the dog. There
yeah.
must be the dog sitting next to you. The energy's
Hmm.
rising because the fact of the matter is you're right. We have to reconnect with our faith. And
That's
if
right.
we lose it, we find our way back, just like driving a car. We just say, okay,
Yes.
it's never really failed me. It's always
Yeah.
been
It's
accurate.
always been there. That's right.
It's
Riding that
always been
bicycle, they
there.
say, get back on. You never forget, and you don't. You may be a little wobbly, but it's
Yeah.
not really gone, you know.
No.
And I like to look at it this way. It again, it's kind of like when we move away from home for the first time. All right. Moving away from mom and daddy and this and the other. And do they stop being our parents? No. But they're letting us go to discover, okay? But who am I going to call if I don't have $5 to buy me whatever? You know what I mean? Mom, dad, you see?
Yeah.
So I have faith in knowing, reach your back. So that's the way I look at God. He's like our father.
Yeah.
And he lets us go explore things, And then sometimes we may feel lost or not connected. And then we get to that despair. And then somebody can come in like you and I and say, hey, such and such is coming through for you. Or, hey, I can feel this. No, it's not us, but we are just the delivering of this message. Okay. And
However,
then say, hey,
sometimes,
that's where
yeah,
it came.
but sometimes
Yeah.
we have to wait too. Sometimes we are delayed with the answers we want,
Oh,
and we
gosh.
have to be
Yeah.
still. Being still is
Yes.
probably one of my biggest gifts. I have to
I
be
suck
still.
at it.
Why do you think, why do you think trust the
Hmm.
process is behind me? Because I
Yeah.
must trust it. That the fact
That's
is,
right.
it will reveal itself. I have to trust the
Hmm.
source, the process, that everything I'm doing is divinely guided and connected.
Oh,
And
yes, exactly.
there are no mistakes. There
No,
are no mistakes.
no, there is. I don't see how there could be,
No, there's just choices we make
because
and choices
every
we don't make.
road, think about it. When you take a wrong turn on the
Mhm.
highway or whatever, you get off your, oh crap, now I'm lost. And you're not lost. You're seeing other beautiful sights that you would not have seen.
Right.
Okay. And you could have stopped at the best little diner and met the best
Yeah.
people. You see, so again, you're not
So you have to
lost.
incorporate joy and happiness.
That's
Well, so
yes. Find those good points.
But you say that. Well, let's flip gears here. If we've got time, I'm not sure how much time let's flip gears to the people that don't find the lovely diner and have trauma and go down the wrong alley and have bad things happen. I read a book when I was 16 by Scott M. Peck, and the first line in it was "Life is difficult." And I thought, life is difficult. Well, my life up until that point, I hadn't realized it was difficult emotionally, but I did, as
Mhm.
kids, we don't know any different. I didn't know it. Every other kid
Nope.
didn't have the kind of trauma I had, or divorce, or,
That's right.
but it was, life is difficult. But in that, there are difficult lives out there. And how do they learn to trust when bad things happen? And we know bad things happen to good people. We see
Mhm.
things that are dark. And we know things sometimes are going to happen that we can't change or interfere.
No, and we're not supposed to.
That's right. So, what about that? What can we give those people that have had dark things
Gosh.
happen to trust the process?
Well, to me, I don't know. I always try to answer the best that I can, but I almost have to put things into like scenarios. Like if someone has lost um, someone dear to them, let's say in a horrible car accident, it was a child. Okay.
Right.
To me, there would be nothing, there's nothing worse than losing a child. But
Hmm.
then if you sit here and think, and this is just my mind, how I go down this road,
Right.
what, even though I had that child for X amount of time, and some people I hear all the time, God took that baby away. No, God did not take that baby away from you.
Right.
Think of it this way: what kind of a life, we don't know, that child could have had 20, 30 years down the road. Okay.
Right.
Maybe them going home to heaven was saving them from horrible, difficulties of life. And on another note, um, he never gives us, or excuse me, he never takes anything without giving back. So I look at it as the same thing with here to there. So I'm thinking, yeah, I lost this, or this individual lost this child. Well, now let's say my mama or whomever is up there, now they get a piece of me up in that heaven with them.
I love that
Okay.
little spin on it, but second, so would you say, Allie, that second guessing is attached to expectations because of what we want, our
Hmm.
outcome of what we want? And if we
Yes,
release the
because what we want
expectations,
versus what we need.
yeah,
You
because
see what
our
I'm saying?
outcomes aren't always what we're like. How did I end up here? And why did that
Yeah,
happen? I mean, we know my dad drowned when I was, 30.
right.
Why did that happen?
Well,
I needed
yeah,
him. I wanted him. But you know
but
what?
now he can direct you in other ways.
Well, let's face it, we know he directs me all the time. He's an
Heck
earth
yes.
guide here
Yeah,
and he's very present.
yeah,
I think I spend more time with him now than ever.
that's right.
He's gotten
And
very spiritually
that's
strong.
right. And he can, and he's so proud of you, you
Yeah, I
know.
can feel that
And
too.
I'm
I'm not going
and
to
I'm
be
glad
modest
you
and
said
say,
that.
"Oh,
And
no, he's not." No, I can feel that. I can feel his presence and
yeah,
and pride. I
and
mean, that's
that's
just.
what keeps you stronger every day
Oh yeah, and
and
where's my
keeps,
little? Oh, they
you
just
know,
they just redid my window,
keeps you.
but I have a little Jesus, and it's in a box
Oh,
now, right behind me. I should show you, but we'll show our people next time. That I always keep here for my dad, and a lot of times it will fall off my
I
desk.
love
I'm
that.
like, how did that fall off my desk? But it was something he got in Italy. It's a little plastic Jesus that has a little plastic thing
Oh,
on the bottom that sticks on a car. I mean,
yeah, the little
it's
pointy
like
thing.
the cheesiest little thing, but it's what I got from
That's
my
right.
dad that was given
Yeah,
to me.
and
And that little
but
thing that's
those are
probably
the
worth 15
things.
cents means so much to me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does. And it's just those little things that we have with us. Just like the
Yeah.
other day, somebody asked me, "Why do you wear pink lipstick?" Sometimes, most of the time, because I hate pink. Yeah, I did it for my mama. She loved pink. Yeah,
Mm.
and so I
So
wear the
pink,
pink for her.
do you think pink brings you closer to your mom?
No, not really closer to my mother, but I can.
Just honors her?
It's kind of like an honoring because I can see her thinking, "Now you see there. Now that pink looks so good on you. You can wear pink." You
Look at
know,
that. Look at the stories.
and
And,
it's just
if we go to the 95.5, 95% of our life is programs and stories, and
oh yeah,
5% is our
it is.
interjection of
But that's what we
trust, faith.
learn.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
She
and
got
that's how
that
we
story
learn,
that she's
and
proud. Yeah.
and
She probably is
it's
proud
a
of you.
proud, and
Yeah.
just like your daddy's proud of you. And I can feel, and to me, that's another guidance. Like you said, your dad's an earth angel down here, even though
Yeah.
I know we got to start wrapping up. But that's the first thing. And if I know I've done something wrong, I instantly, boom, I text my sister. I call Jilly Bean, and I'm like, well, I can hear
Jelly bean.
Mama fussing now. Her name is Jill, so I call her Jilly
Yeah.
Bean. And I'm like, I can just hear Mama fussing now.
Yeah.
Why on earth did you? Da, 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 da," I can hear it. And Jill's like, oh, I
Ah.
can too. Mom's
Yeah.
fussing. And then, it takes me back. So, like,
Mm.
okay, so
So it's a
there's
form
that.
of connection. So, and I
Yes.
think so if we
And
look
so,
at
what if people say it's in
but
our
that's
heads?
yeah,
So
but
what?
it's not a distraction. So if we look at
Mm-mm.
signs and what distracts us, our number one thing would be worry, doubt, fear,
Yeah. Stress. Yeah.
stress,
And we're not supposed to have that. And if we
second
do,
guessing ourselves. Second guessing is a part of
mhm,
not trusting ourselves. But if we look
yeah,
at
and not having the faith.
yeah, and not having faith, yeah, losing faith. But if we look at how we
That's
do
right.
trust ourselves, and what we can leave people with is slow down, take a breath, be
Breathe. Yes. That's what I
still.
was
Yeah,
breathe.
breathe, be
And
still.
listen. Yeah, listen. Yeah, and
And
so many
not
people
listen
out
to
there, they
exterior, not
ask.
listen to exterior,
Yes.
listen to the
No.
interior,
Yes.
listen to
And I'm
in
so glad you said that because I tell every one of my clients just about, unless I forget, I'm like, never take anyone else's advice. Don't listen
yeah,
to mine. Don't
no.
listen, such and such is
How
listen
does
to
it
here,
land with
listen
you?
to
How
there.
does it feel in
How does it
here?
feel? That's
Yeah.
right.
Is
And
it
I know, yeah,
reaffirming something you are because most of the
yeah.
time people
Or
will
does
say,
it make
I
you
felt
feel,
that. Yeah.
yes. Or does it make you feel not so right?
Yeah. Like that
So,
doesn't resonate with me.
and
Of course, you know that
mm-mm,
sometimes when people aren't ready to hear things, they'll say,
that's
that
right.
doesn't resonate with me at all. And then they'll come back a
That's
few days
fine.
later and they're like, oh wow, I sat with that
Yeah.
and and I reevaluated. But it just
Mhm.
depends on where they're at in this journey. There is
It
no
does.
right or
Yeah.
wrong. And this is why we take nothing personally ever, 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 because it's never
No.
about us. We're only the
Uh-uh.
vessel to hopefully hold space for people to
That's right.
teach them how to
Yes.
listen to their own intuition and how to
Right.
not second guess so they can move forward
So they
with
can have that faith, and feel it.
faith and speed. I mean, like we know, heaven loves speed. They can move faster through their decision making
That's right.
process if they can learn that everything. Ooh, hear that? The dog just
Yeah, I don't know what that
validated.
was.
That
Yes.
was just was I don't know what
Yeah.
it was, but it was just like I heard bells, a little dingle
I
dingle,
did too,
and
and
then
I don't know what the bells are for. I mean, that just
and I
kinda,
heard a dog bark, which is like I've never
yeah.
heard a dog bark in your house,
Well,
so it's like
no, well, it's 'cause it's a visitor dog, so
yeah,
yeah,
but
and because mine doesn't bark.
I
Yeah,
know, but
um,
responding to
he
the
can't.
energy,
Yes. Yeah,
well, you could hear
and
the
he's just
panting, the
hyper.
energy. Yeah.
Oh, yes,
Well,
exactly.
look at what we're talking about.
And
We're
I know
talking
we're
about high
getting.
vibrational stuff.
Exactly. And it's just one of those things that, and it even makes me stutter. If you ever notice, I'm like, "Ah, da, da, da," yeah, because it's the high energy,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So, and on that note, I know we have got to wrap up.
Yeah.
Um,
We do. I can't believe how
and I'm
fast
still
this
my
went.
potatoes in the oven. Uh,
Oh, I know. If
and
I only
like,
could
ooh,
transport myself down to, the South, I'd be having myself uh when we started this, what we were talking about, you were putting baked potatoes. Well, it's dinner time for you. It's much earlier here in
yeah,
California. But I
yeah.
was telling you that I made Swiss chard last night, and you're like, what did you say?
Oh
What's
my
that?
Lord. I was like, what on
What
earth
what
is
did
that?
what did
We
you
don't
say
have
it
that
was?
here.
Poke? And I'm like,
Yeah, I was
poke?
like, is it poke?
Is that a
And
joke? Poke?
yeah, and it's like, no,
Yeah.
poke salad. Poke. You ever seen pokeberries?
No. Like a
The little purple
blueberry?
berries?
Blueberry?
No, you don't eat them things. They're
No.
purple. You used
I
to
don't
use them as like makeup when you was a kid and everything.
really. No, I don't think we
Mhm.
have those in
But
California.
you
Maybe we
couldn't
do.
eat them.
But
I don't know. But you
I don't
can't
know if you know this
poke
about
the
me,
leaves.
Allie. I am a
What?
survivalist. I mean, I can go out in the woods and eat. I can pretty much figure out. I know Indian soap, chamomile, wild tea, sassafras tea.
Right.
I
I
know
would
how
die. Like
to
I said
pine
before, I
nuts.
would
I
die.
mean, oh no, I would
Yeah.
survive. I'd watercress. I could very much survive out there. I would know what to
No,
eat, what not to eat, and yeah.
no, I would just lay there on the ground and just die.
You would go out there and eat
Uh,
pokeberries?
or better. No, but I would end up
Or
going,
you
here,
could
take this,
trust.
you know.
This is where
I
we
was like,
could trust
here,
that
look at
smells
look at that.
good, that
Yeah.
doesn't.
Yeah, or that poor little animal needs that, not me, and I would starve to death. That's my kid's joke, you know, and that's what I
Well,
would
you
do.
are an
Like, oh, I
animal
can't
lover.
go fishing, I can't go
Yeah.
fishing because I can't eat a fish, just because I don't like fish. I don't even like it in a tank, But yeah. Anyway, I know we have got to go.
I love animals too.
People are
It's so
just
funny you don't like it to take, neither do I. Although I don't know, I could eat a lobster. I love lobster. Could you eat a lobster?
That's different. That ain't a fish. That's
Okay,
seafood.
of course, I will not cook a lobster because have you ever heard them scream?
No. Yeah, it's not
Oh
no.
no, they
I'd cry.
scream. They
I would
scream.
cry. I know it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, I can't do it.
Yeah.
I can't even pick them out of the tank, to eat.
You know,
I'm like, nope, 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 nope.
so
Just
funny.
bring
We
me them
talk
along.
about lobsters and food, and I immediately go into lobsters in a pot, which how when
Mm.
lobsters are in a pot, what happens to the other lobsters when one tries to crawl out?
I,
Crawl
la
out.
la la. I can't hear you.
Well,
I
no.
can't
Do you
hear
know
you.
what they do?
I don't even
They
think about it.
actually
Help
they
the other one out.
pull the one that's trying to get out. They all pull it back in, and and this is when you want to. So we're going to wrap this up because this feels like a good analogy. Maybe it's a
Hmm.
stretch, but it's called lobsters in a pot syndrome, where you put lobsters in a pot, and some are trying to the other ones pull
Oh
it back
yeah,
in to the boiling
gotcha.
water. So if you're trusting yourself, and someone says, "Oh,
So
don't trust,"
smart.
no, 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 no. Think of that lobster in a pot. People want to pull you back into the
You're
boiling
right.
water to where they're at, where they're not trusting. Stay connected to source, trust the process. And was that a stretch with the boiling lobster in a pot story? Maybe, but I like analogies
No,
and
no, I like it
works for
because I'm
me.
just sitting here thinking, and it
Yeah.
works for me too. I like that.
Yeah.
So and who knows where we're going to go next time? Sounds great.
Who knows where we're going to go next time? For all our Spirit
Lobsters in a
Unlimited
pot. That's
fans,
right.
lobsters in a pot. Until we
That's
see you
right.
again, we are sending all of our love for, I guess
Oh
next time
gosh,
will
yeah.
be in March, if you can believe that.
It
Yeah.
is, and I guess we need to be flying by too.
You know what we should ask? We should ask people to put in the comments what they'd love to hear us talk about.
Yes.
We have people that
Yes.
send us
Yes.
that
Yes.
I
Yes.
would love
Definitely.
to see in the comments, and then people can, like it and validate it, what they really want to hear us talk about, because we are very open to this process
I
of
agree.
giving
Yes.
giving
And
our people what they want and need.
exactly. And that expands us and them.
Yeah, absolutely. We love answering questions. In fact, we have
Oh
our
yeah.
next one, I believe, will be a reading, which I'm
Hmm.
excited about the two. And I know that people love us to do live readings. So,
Oh yeah. I'm ready
we're
for it.
ready. We're ready for it.
All right,
We're here
guys.
for
Until
it. All
next
right.
time.
Mwah. All right.
Bye.